You know, a lot of people say that Big the Cat's story is fine because it's short. Or at least one certain LPer that I know says that. But I don't know about that because Big the Cat's story has exactly as many parts as all of the other characters other than Sonic. It's 3 parts for Big, it's 3 parts for Amy, and same goes for Tails and so on. Although I guess you could say that most of Big's story consists of cutscenes. But same could go for Amy. Just because it's short doesn't mean it's not very tedious. Again, I like Big's theme song, I just wish it didn't have lyrics in it, because the lyrics kind of ruin it. Because the singer kind of makes it sound like it's a baby show. Like it should be playing over Barney or something like that. I mean, it fits Big the Cat, but it would have been much better just being kept as an instrumental. It's like how Tails' theme is an instrumental in Adventure 2, and he has a brand new theme in that one. Tails said, "Whoops," and then a few seconds later, he dropped the frog. It almost makes it look like he dropped it on purpose, just to get Big away from him, and honestly I wouldn't blame him. In the auto demos Red Mountain, Sonic will transition to Act 2 while he's going down the zip line. Normally you have to go down a hole to get there. And Sonic's homing attack sucks in it because his movements are kind of circular from bending downwards. He doesn't dash directly at the enemies like he normally does. Sonic gives the camera a grim look, and that's not in the final game. This is a mandatory upgrade because you need it to beat Emerald Coast. Yeah, I've wandered around the jungle maze for a really long time because I completely forgot where I was supposed to go from there. You're forced to go into the jungle area to make it so that you can progress with the hub world any further because you need the Power Rod to beat the game. But I didn't know what I was supposed to do after that, so I spent a really long time wandering around the jungle, and it is torture wandering through the jungle maze as someone as slow as Big the Cat. And don't even get me started on going through the rivers. I could have kept all of that in, but I decided against it because this LP is going to be long enough. In Gamma's Red Mountain auto demo, Gamma can lock onto enemies, but no numbers will actually show up. And Epsilon doesn't actually react when you hit him or turn into an animal when he's defeated. And he doesn't have his boss music play in the demo either. Sonic actually has object files for some action stages that he didn't appear in, like Hot Shelter. And he also has an object file for Zero's boss fight. Apparently Zero's boss fight is a level of its own. He also has files for several unused sections, like the second section of the Hedgehog Hammer minigame, the third act of Twinkle Park, the fourth sections of Final Egg and Hot Shelter, and Big's version of Emerald Coast. But yeah, it's just weird. It's like they're planning on Sonic going to all of those levels and even fighting Zero. Well, thank you, Mr. Know-It-All, for being useless. So you can only fish in the levels themselves. I'm not really sure why they have a completely different person behind the desk in Big's story when it takes place around the same time as every other character's stories. Kind of an inconsistency. And I haven't talked about it, but Big the Cat showed a recap when I restarted and got myself back to the entrance of Ice Cap. That's what happens when you exit out of a story and then go back into it. You see a recap that has lines from the character you play. The recaps are much shorter in this game than in Adventure 2, so I find them to be really lackluster, and I really don't want to show off the recap with Big because I hate his voice so much. And isn't it great that even though Takao appears in one of Big's levels, she doesn't actually tell you how to fish? I think Big the Cat has a glitch where if he catches Froggy while he's floating in the water, when Froggy gets close to him, it's going to spontaneously not be caught anymore. And then he'll have to try and get the frog to grab the lure again. You can actually skip the bumper cars in Twinkle Park if you spin dash into the left corner of the gate exactly right. Which is pretty cool, but I've never really been able to pull that off. Do you love the stoner music in the background? This is easily the most famous of all of the themes of Big the Cat. In fact, I consider this to be the theme song of Big the Cat. Screw his actual theme song. This stoner music is where it's at. This is the same music that I edited in for the fishing in Link's Awakening. And even Link's Awakening does fishing better than this. Leftovers from other sections still exist in Ice Cap but can't be seen normally. These include the mountaintop of Act 3 that you can see from Act 1, which is pretty cool. It makes the level feel less disconnected from having 3 acts. They also include an unused underwater path in Sonic's version of Ice Cap, which Big can go through in Sonic's level. But like in Sonic's level of Ice Cap, that underwater path is cut off by a layer of ice, so Sonic can't go through it. Which is good because, again, underwater sections in a 3D Sonic game would really suck. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea including enemies in Big's levels, when the only way you can attack them is with an extremely short range attack that good luck even hitting it with it in the first place. You can actually glitch Gamma into part of Sonic's version of Final Egg. Bounce up the spring near the end and hover over the light fixtures and into the black part. You have to move the control stick in accordance with the way that the fish is moving when you're reeling him in. It's not enough that you just hold down the beat button. No. You have to move the control stick against the fish's movements, because that's not overly complicated at all. There's also a way to glitch Gamma into part of Sonic's Red Mountain. Get to the first checkpoint and get on the platform that's in front of and to the right of you. Get on the fence and hover to the other side from it. You'll get stopped by an invisible wall there. Now you just have to make your way to the right, and when you get as far as you can go, you just jump over the big rock, and there you go. You're in Sonic's version of Red Mountain. There's actually a way to glitch into Emerald Coast as Amy Rose, involving putting the statue in front of the burger shop right next to the fence and clipping between the fence and the statue. But it's very hard to do, and she's not fun to play in Emerald Coast anyways because she's so slow. She can't even outrun the whale chasing her down the docks. And here's another inconsistency. In Gamma's story, Gamma just found the frog here. In this story, he actively steals the frog from Big. So, which one's the canon one? It kind of makes every level of Big the Cat feel pointless, because every time he catches Froggy, he just gets away anyways. But if he hadn't caught the frog in each of his levels, then the frog wouldn't have gotten to Chaos 6 and returned to him. Again, why he needed to go to Chaos 6 for the plot to fold out the way it did, I don't know how, but... Back in Ice Cap, Big can't actually break the ice in the auto demo. And the water's not animated at all, so you can't drown. And there's a bunch of unused flags in the game code for certain characters that can open up areas that they never end up actually going to. Amy has a flag for opening up the door to Casinopolis, and Big has a flag for opening up the entrance to the casino area. Like in all of Big's story, he never actually goes to the casino district in Station Square. It's just completely off limits for him for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They don't even try to give an explanation for why Big can't go to the casino area. He just can't go there for some reason. Which I guess I like, because it's good to have hub world areas restricted that you can't go to there until you need to. Because otherwise it would create some confusion about where you're supposed to go next. Ignoring the fact that a whole bunch of hints and the NPCs tell you where to go next anyways. I would just like an explanation, that's all. I love the music that plays in Hot Shelter in Big's level, but then it gets interrupted by the stupid Speed Shoes theme. I really wish that they didn't give the Speed Shoes its own theme in the 3D Sonic games. I wish they just kept doing what the classic games did and had the music increased by 1.5 times its normal rate. I don't know what was so hard about that. It's not that common that you see a cutscene in an actual level.
Ah, there's Froggy. Looks like he needs my help.
So you hit the switch to get the water over here. Doesn't Amy need to do that too? Why isn't the water already completely filled up? I mean, I guess this is a completely different room from the one that Amy goes into later on. Because this one doesn't have a crank that you turn in it. Every one of Big's fishing levels actually has secret passageways that you can go to in order to catch bigger fish for completing the later missions. Like Emerald Coast has a cave in it that has a secret island with a whole bunch of huge fish. I don't really care about doing that though, because I only play through Big's levels to catch Froggy and unlock Supersonic. That is something that I like about this game though, is that in Adventure 2, you're forced to shuffle through the different characters as you progress through the story. But in Adventure 1, you can just stay as one character for the entirety of their story. And you can even switch between the different stories at will. You're not forced to complete one story to go to another. So if you don't want to play as Big the Cat, then you can just complete all of the other stories except for his. And the only thing that beating Big's story last gets you is unlocking Supersonic. You can just watch the last story's cutscenes on YouTube. There's an unused hint for this level where Tikal would tell you to pull out a plug, hold it, and shake it. So they actually would have expected us to aim casting the fishing rod in a very precise way to unplug the drain. It's a good thing that they didn't go with that.
We're together again at last, huh?
How desperate is Tikal that she's even giving a vision of cosmic importance to a purple cat like this? How desperate is she that she's giving a vision to him? I mean, it's not like Big's going to be able to properly explain the vision to Sonic anyways. And if the whole reason she's showing these visions to characters is so Sonic finds out about it later, then, well, that doesn't really matter. He doesn't need to actually know any of this information to beat Chaos. I do love this cutscene though, even if Big is kind of sticking out like sore thumb because he's just standing there.
Is it alright for me to be here?
Like, Big can't possibly understand any of what's going on here. But I do love this cutscene though.
So do you...
This is one of my favorite cutscenes in the game. Because of just how important its revelation really is to the lore of the franchise. Remember that thing that she told Tails? This explains that.
Could it be? The servers are the 7 Chaos Emeralds, unified by one that is the controller. The 7 Chaos... The controller itself. Could this be the emerald that controls the 7 Chaos?
I would have preferred if she said emeralds at the end of that line. But otherwise, the cutscene is done absolutely perfectly. I love how the camera pans over the Master Emerald and shows you the Chaos Emeralds when she talks about the 7 Chaos. And I just love the music and the atmosphere and the lines. Aside from the fact that Big is there, everything about the cutscene, its atmosphere and everything is just perfect and I love it. And we're going into the final part of Big's story. Finally, we're getting the story done and over with.